To support my boyfriend Marcus through his PhD, I worked 3 jobs and couldn't even bring myself to buy a new dress. On the day he finally achieved success, in front of everyone, he presented me with a thick house deed. My friends cheered, saying my hardships had ended and I was finally receiving his reward. But when I opened the cover, prominently written in the co-owner section, was the name of his student Chloe. Without a word, I threw the house deed into the trash in front of everyone. Marcus, I'm not living in this house. We're over. Everyone was stunned, and Marcus was both furious and frantic. What's wrong with you? This is a gift for you. Haven't I been working hard all these years for you? Chloe's name is just there temporarily, to help her establish legal residency. Why are you being so unreasonable? I sneered, then you and your reasonable Chloe can live in this house forever. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us where you're listening from in the comments. I turned to leave. Marcus grabbed my wrist, so tightly it felt like he might crush my bones. Luna! Stop right there. His handsome face was filled with disbelief and the fury of being publicly defied. Explain yourself now. How exactly have I wronged you? You're breaking up with me over a house deed? Are our 7 years together so worthless to you? Our friends around us also came to their senses and started crowding in. Yeah, Luna, what are you doing? Marcus is such a catch. He bought you a house right after graduation. Where would you find a man like that? It's just Chloe's name temporarily, to help her establish legal residency. It's not a big deal. Don't make such a mountain out of a molehill, you'll hurt Marcus's feelings. Suddenly, all voices were aimed at me. As if I were the one being unreasonable, the one betraying deep affection. I looked at Marcus, at our once shared friends, and felt a wave of nausea. I yanked my hand free, with enough FORCE to make him stumble back. Marcus, whether you've treated me fairly or not, you know best. Don't make me air out our dirty laundry. A flicker of imperceptible panic crossed Marcus's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by intensified anger. He raised his voice, as if the louder he spoke, the more he could prove his innocence. What's in my heart? My heart is completely yours. These 3 years I spent pursuing a PhD, slaving away in the lab day and night. Who was it for? The first thing I did after getting an offer was buy a house. Who was that for? Luna, you need to have a conscience. You can't erase all my efforts just because I helped Chloe with a small favor. Beside him, Chloe, his student, her eyes red-rimmed, timidly approached. She wore a white dress I hadn't seen before, looking pure and innocent. Luna, please don't misunderstand Marcus. Her voice was soft and tearful. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have bothered Marcus. It's not easy for a girl like me to make it in a new city without proper residency. There are so many things I can't do. Marcus saw my plight and kindly helped me. There's really nothing between us. As she spoke, tears streamed down her face like a broken string of pearls. Luna, if you're angry, just scold me. Don't argue with Marcus. This house, I don't want it. I'll ask Marcus to remove my name tomorrow. Her performance, a masterful display of feigned retreat, was truly spectacular. The friends around us instantly looked at her with sympathy, and at me with even greater disgust. See? Chloe already said so. Luna, you're really going too far. What kind of achievement is it to bully a young girl? Exactly, she's crying like this, and you're still being so aggressive. Marcus immediately put his arm around Chloe, shielding her, and roared at me. Luna, haven't you caused enough trouble? Look what you've done to Chloe. You've terrified her. She's a young girl, alone here. What's wrong with me giving her a hand? Are you really so intolerant? I watched them, a perfect duet, as if observing a farce. I'm intolerant? I scoffed, my gaze piercing Marcus. Marcus, don't forget, for 3 years, I worked 3 jobs to support you. It was me who stayed by your side for 3 days and 3 nights without sleep when you were sick. It was me who knelt before your advisor and begged for another chance when you were on the verge of being expelled, crying that you couldn't continue your studies. Now that you've achieved success, you've used my hard-earned money to buy a house, put someone else's name on it, and then have the audacity to accuse me of being unreasonable? Have you no conscience at all? My words plunged the room into instant silence. Everyone froze, exchanging glances. Marcus's face alternated between green and white, his lips moving, but no words came out. He probably never expected me to expose his less than glorious past in front of everyone. Back when he was pursuing his PhD, his family wasn't well off, but he was too proud to apply for a student loan. It was I, foolishly, who shouldered all the financial burden. By day, I worked as an office clerk. By night, I waited tables at a restaurant. On weekends, I tutored. Every penny I earned, I transferred to him, without keeping a single cent for myself. And I, myself, hadn't bought a new piece of clothing in 3 years. My friends knew I worked hard, but they didn't know the extent of my struggles. And they certainly didn't know how much of my hard-earned money went into the down payment for this house. Chloe's face also changed. She nervously grabbed Marcus's arm, tears flowing even harder from her eyes. Luna. How can you talk about Marcus like that? He worked so hard pursuing his PhD, staying up all night doing experiments, losing so much hair. He always remembered your kindness. He said that once he had money, he would make sure you lived a good life. She turned to the crowd, choking back tears as she defended Marcus. You don't know how much Marcus loves Luna. His phone wallpaper is a picture of Luna, and he keeps their joint photo in his wallet. When he bought this house, he decided on the very first neighborhood he looked at, simply because it was close to Luna's workplace. Everything he did, it was all truly for Luna. These words successfully swayed public opinion once again. A friend patted Marcus on the shoulder and said to me earnestly, Luna, see? Marcus cares about you. Men, sometimes they're thoughtless and don't consider everything, but his heart is in the right place. Just let go of this small matter and make up with Marcus. Another person chimed in, that's right, Chloe said it herself, it's just about establishing legal residency. Establishing legal residency in new city is incredibly valuable. If you can help, you should. Helping others helps yourself. As girlfriend, you should support him, not hold him back. Support him? Use my hard-earned money to buy a place for his beloved Chloe to settle down? I was almost laughing at the outrageous logic of these people. Just then, Eleanor, Marcus's mother and my future mother-in-law, rushed over after hearing the commotion. The moment she entered, seeing the tense atmosphere, her face immediately hardened. What's going on here? A perfectly good celebration, ruined like this. Marcus looked as if he'd found a savior and immediately went to her. Mom, come and judge this. He pointed at me, his face full of grievance. I bought Luna a house, and not only is she not happy, she threw the house deed away in front of everyone and wants to break up with me. All because I casually helped Chloe by adding her name to the house deed so she could establish legal residency. Eleanor's brows furrowed even deeper when she heard this. She walked up to me, scrutinizing me from head to toe. Luna, is this true? Before I could speak, she continued on her own. Marcus had a tough time these past few years pursuing his PhD. Now that he's finally made it, why are you still so unreasonable? It's just adding a name, what's the big deal? Chloe is just a girl, why are you making such an issue of it? As fiancé, you should act with the grace and composure of a leading lady. You should know how to share his burdens and win people over for him, not be petty and embarrass him here. Grace and composure of a leading lady? I repeated those words, finding them utterly absurd. What era is this? The dynasty fell over 100 years ago. I looked at the woman before me, her face full of self-righteousness, and suddenly understood where Marcus's shamelessness and selfishness truly originated. Eleanor, in your eyes, my working tirelessly to earn money and support your son through his studies was my duty. Now that he's made a name for himself, he uses my money to buy a house for another woman, and I'm supposed to be grateful and praise him for being righteous, is that it? My voice wasn't loud, but every word clearly reached everyone present. Eleanor's face instantly became extremely grim. Child, how dare you speak like that? She raised her voice, her face full of disbelief. What's this about your money and my money? You're about to get married, why are you being so particular? Isn't Marcus's money your money? He's successful now, so you should just enjoy the good life with him, shouldn't you? Besides, the house is in your name. You're the lady of the house. It's just letting Chloe put her name on it temporarily. It's not like he's giving her the house. Why are you getting so worked up? Behind her, Chloe, at the opportune moment, began to cry again. Eleanor, Luna, please stop arguing, it's all my fault. I didn't know Luna would mind so much. I really just wanted to establish legal residency. Marcus, maybe we should just forget it. I can always go back to my hometown. She spoke, looking pitifully at Marcus, as if she might faint at any moment. Marcus's heart almost broke. He pulled Chloe into his embrace, soothing her softly, then looked up at me with an expression of utter disappointment. Luna, look at yourself. Look what you've done to Mom and Chloe. Do you really want to turn our home upside down before you're satisfied? I'm telling you right now, I'm definitely going to help Chloe with this. If you still want to be with me, then apologize properly and let this matter go. If you keep clinging to it, then there's nothing left for us to say. He was coercing me? Threatening to break up with me, forcing me to accept his shared property with another woman? My friends also started talking over each other, trying to persuade me. Luna quickly apologized to Eleanor. Marcus is in a fit of rage, don't provoke him any further. Exactly, it's not worth it to hurt your own home's harmony for an outsider. An outsider? Looking at Chloe, tightly protected in Marcus's arms, then at my isolated self, I suddenly couldn't tell who the real outsider was. I took a deep breath, suppressing the surge of emotion, my gaze growing even colder. Apologize? I looked at Marcus, enunciating each word clearly. Yes. But not me apologizing. It's you all. Marcus, I'm giving you one last chance. First, immediately remove Chloe's name from the house deed. Second, get her out of my sight and ensure there's no further contact between you two. Third, return all the money you spent of mine during your PhD, principal and interest, every single penny. If you do these 3 things, we'll pretend none of this ever happened. If you can't. I paused, my gaze sweeping across every face in the room. Then I'll see you in court. See me in court? Marcus scoffed, as if he'd heard the most ridiculous joke. Luna, are you out of your mind? What are you going to sue me for? For buying you a house? Or for being too good to you? Eleanor was also shaking with rage, pointing a finger at my nose and yelling. This is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Our family has truly had the worst luck imaginable to let a woman like you into our home. You're not even married yet, and you're already thinking about splitting assets and calculating Marcus's money. What are your intentions? I'm telling you, not a single penny. You won't get a cent from our family. Looking at her ugly, protective mother's face, I lost any desire to argue with her. I simply looked at Marcus calmly. Marcus, are you sure you won't repay the money? I'm telling you, I have a record of every single payment you received from me, including 3 years ago, when you told me you'd found a great apartment complex, good location, great appreciation potential, and wanted to pay a down payment so we could move in right after graduation. For this our home you spoke of, I transferred my parents' last inheritance, a full $800,000, to you in one lump sum. This money, do you dare say you didn't receive it? As my words landed, Marcus's face instantly turned ashen. The shock and terror in his eyes were no longer concealable. All our friends gasped, a chorus of whispers erupting. 800,000? Luna actually gave him that much money? That was her parents' inheritance. She gave it all away? Holy cow, so Luna paid the entire down payment for this house? Ben's actions are truly despicable. Using his girlfriend's inheritance to buy a house and putting his student Chloe's name on it? The tide of public opinion finally began to subtly shift. Eleanor was also stunned, looking at her son incredulously. Marcus, is what she's saying true? You took 800,000 from her? Marcus's lips trembled, his gaze darting away, completely unable to look at me. I was just. He stammered for a long time, unable to form a complete sentence. Seeing this, Chloe rushed forward, trying to salvage the situation again. Luna, you can't slander Marcus like this. Her voice was sharp and urgent, as if ring to overpower everything with volume. Marcus borrowed this money from me. My family had an emergency and needed money urgently, and Marcus, to help me, only temporarily borrowed it from you, Luna. This money has nothing to do with the house. It was a loan between us. Luna, how can you confuse a personal loan with a house purchase? This is blackmail. I was almost laughing at her blatant distortion of facts. A personal loan, indeed. She wanted to completely turn my investment into shared property between her and Marcus. Chloe, is that right? I walked up to her, looking down at her. You say you borrowed the money, do you have an IOU? Chloe's face paled, and she instinctively took a step back. The situation was urgent then, so. We didn't write one. Didn't write one? I sneered, then how do you plan to repay it? Chloe bit her lip, tears welling up again. I'll work to pay it back. I'll pay Marcus back every month after I get my salary. Pay back? I scoffed, as if I'd heard the most absurd joke. Chloe, have you forgotten, this money is mine. Even if it's to be repaid, it should be repaid to me. However, I changed my tone, my gaze returning to Marcus's pale face. I no longer expect you to repay the money. I took my cell phone from my bag and played a recording. It was a call between Marcus and me from 3 days ago. Honey, I have great news. I bought that house we liked. It's the one where I used the 800,000 you gave me for the down payment. I just got the house deed today. I'll surprise you with it tomorrow. From now on, we finally have our own home in New City. Marcus's excited and gentle voice clearly echoed through the entire banquet hall. The evidence was undeniable. Marcus went limp, almost collapsing to the floor. Chloe's face also completely drained of color, like a blank sheet of paper. Eleanor clutched her chest, looking like she might faint at any moment. Just when everyone thought this was the end, I slowly uttered my last words. Marcus, this house isn't just about the down payment. Why is the purchase date on the house deed a year ago? At that time, you told me you were attending a 2-week academic conference out of town. Shouldn't you explain to me what kind of conference you were attending during those 2 weeks? Or did you, with my money, move in with your good student Chloe into our future home a long time ago? My words were like a bombshell, exploding in the silent crowd. Everyone's gaze, like searchlights, swung to Marcus and Chloe. A year ago? An academic conference? These words combined carried such a massive amount of information that everyone's minds seemed to crash. Marcus's body trembled violently, the last trace of color completely draining from his face. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with despair and fear, as if seeing a demon crawled from hell. Luna. What? What are you talking about? His voice was dry and hoarse, utterly lacking conviction. Chloe, even more so, collapsed to the ground, trembling like an autumn leaf. She bit her lip tightly, unable to utter a word, only glaring at me with a venomous and terrified gaze. Eleanor staggered back 2 steps, leaning against the wall, gasping for breath. A year ago. Marcus. She's not telling the truth, is she? Tell she's lying to us. Marcus opened his mouth, his Adam's apple bobbing violently, but no sound came out. His silence was the best answer. The banquet hall erupted into chaos. Oh my God. Bought a year ago? Doesn't that mean they've been together all along? He lied to Luna, saying he was at a conference, but he was actually using Luna's money to build a love nest with the other woman. That's utterly disgusting. I knew that Chloe didn't look like good news. Calling him Marcus so affectionately, turns out she's the other woman. A jerk and a conniving woman, a perfect match. I feel terrible for Luna, these 3 years were truly wasted. The friends W. Ho had previously defended Marcus now looked at him with disdain and contempt. They might tolerate a man being thoughtless, but they would never tolerate a man using his girlfriend's hard-earned money to support another woman, all while treating everyone like fools. Watching's world crumble, I felt no satisfaction, only an endless coldness and exhaustion. If I hadn't accidentally found a construction material receipt from last year in Marcus's discarded clothes pocket a month ago, with the address of this very new house, I might still be in the dark. Following that receipt, I uncovered everything. I found the actual purchase date of this house. I discovered that Marcus's 2-week academic conference was entirely fabricated. I found surveillance footage from that period showing him and Chloe, inseparable, entering and leaving this apartment complex together. All the evidence I had already handed over to my lawyer. I walked up to Marcus, looking down at him. Marcus, I gave you a chance. You, yourself, trampled my sincerity again and again. Now, the game is over. I took out my cell phone, dialed my lawyer, and put him on speaker. Mr. David, you can proceed. A capable, steady male voice came from the other end of the line. All right, Ms. Luna. Regarding Marcus's alleged fraud and illegal appropriation of your personal assets, we have officially filed a lawsuit with the court. The evidence chain is complete, including but not limited to the $800,000 transfer records, call recordings, and video evidence of his illicit cohabitation with Ms. Chloe. At the same time, we have applied for asset preservation. This property has been frozen, and no one has the right to dispose of it until the case is concluded. Furthermore, we will submit the full set of materials, in the form of a complaint letter, to the major tech company Mr. Marcus is about to join, and to the university where he completed his PhD. The lawyer's words, every single one, lawn dead clearly and heavily on everyone's hearts. Marcus completely broke down. He dropped to his knees with a thud, hugging my legs, sobbing uncontrollably. Luna. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. Don't sue me. Please. If the company finds out, my offer will be gone. If the university knows, my PhD could be revoked. I can't lose this job. I can't be ruined. Luna, for the sake of our 7 years together, please give me another chance. I'll do anything you say. I'll make Chloe leave immediately. I'll transfer the house to your name alone. I'll pay you back all the money. Please, withdraw the lawsuit. Luna. He cried uncontrollably, a pathetic mess, not a trace of his former swagger remaining. I disgustedly kicked his hand away, taking a step back. Now you know you were wrong? It's too late. Marcus, from the moment you took my money and moved into that house with her, we were already over. Eleanor also reacted, rushing over and hitting and scolding Marcus. You beast! How could I have given birth to such a shameless thing like you? How dare you? How dare you do such an atrocious thing? As she yelled, she suddenly turned to me, and with a thud, also knelt down. Luna! Please, Eleanor is begging you. All the mistakes are our Gu family's fault. We've wronged you. But as my only son, he can't be ruined like this. If he loses his job, loses his degree, his life will be over. Hit me, scold me, just as long as you let him go, I'll do anything. She clutched my leg, tears streaming down her aged face, crying breathlessly. Chloe, who was still sprawled on the floor, also scrambled over, clutching my other leg. Luna, I was wrong. I was blinded by delusion. I seduced Marcus. It's not his fault. It's all my fault. Please let him go. He's a talented person, his future shouldn't be ruined by me. I'm willing to go and explain to your company and the university. I'm willing to take all the responsibility. The three of them knelt before me, a sobbing mess. This farce finally reached its climax at its most wretched moment. The friends around us stared, utterly dumbfounded, not daring to breathe. I looked at the three tear-streaked faces before me, feeling only immense irony. If only they had known this day would come, why did they act as they did? Get up, all of you. My voice was calm. Performing this act now is useless. Luna. Marcus suddenly lifted his head, his eyes bloodshot. Do you have to be so ruthless? We were together for 7 years. Even if there was no merit, there was certainly hard work. Are you really going to push me to my death over this little thing? This little thing? I laughed, exasperated. Marcus, in your eyes, deception, betrayal, and the appropriation of my parents' inheritance are just this little thing? Then today, I'll show you what kind of consequences this little thing can bring. I no longer paid attention to their wails, turning to leave the disgusting banquet hall, escorted by my assistant. Behind me, I heard Marcus's desperate roars, Eleanor's heartbroken cries, and Chloe's faint curses. None of it concerned me anymore. In the days that followed, events unfolded exactly as I had anticipated. The HR department of the major tech company Marcus was joining immediately rescinded his offer after receiving my complaint letter and lawyer's notice. The reason, severe personal integrity issues, not meeting the company's employment standards. His PhD advisor, a highly respected professor in academia, was furious upon learning of the matter. The university established a special investigation team and quickly verified Marcus's various misconducts during his PhD studies, including but not limited to academic plagiarism. He had secretly used a project proposal concept of mine in his thesis, and personal conduct issues. Ultimately, the university revoked his PhD and issued a public condemnation across the entire campus. Marcus was utterly ruined. From being a golden boy, a prospective elite with a 6-figure salary, he became a con artist without even a degree, overnight. All his pride and capital, I had personally destroyed. He and his mother came to my company to cause trouble several times, kneeling downstairs begging me, blocking the parking lot to curse me, even threatening to take me down with him. But all of it was handled cleanly by my security and my lawyer. I never saw him again. The lawsuit proceeded smoothly. With irrefutable evidence, the court ultimately found Marcus guilty of fraud. That house, deemed illicit gains, was ordered to be returned to me. At the same time, he was required to repay the $800,000 in principal, plus several years of interest. Marcus owned no property. He and his mother were still living in an old apartment in a rundown neighborhood. To repay the money, they had no choice but to sell their only residence. Even so, they still owed me a substantial amount. The court enforced the judgment, and Marcus was placed on the list of notorious defaulters, officially becoming a deadbeat. His life had completely plummeted. And, the pitiful student, was also not doing well. Her reputation as the other woman made it impossible for her to show her face in their social circles. She had also originally received a good job offer, but once the scandal broke, the company immediately terminated her contract. Her dream of staying in New City was completely shattered. Even worse, her family, upon learning of her actions, felt utterly disgraced and disowned her. She became a homeless wanderer, friendless and forgotten. I heard that she later sought out Marcus, and they had a huge fight in their rental apartment, each blaming the other for ruining their lives. In despair and rage, Marcus physically assaulted her. Chloe called the police, and Marcus was detained for 15 days for assault. This once deeply devoted and ill-fated couple eventually turned on each other in the most disgraceful way. When I heard these updates from a friend, I was vacationing on the beach in Bali. The sun was warm, the sea breeze gentle. I sipped a cold coconut water, feeling utterly free and invigorated. I sold that tainted house. With the money from the sale, along with Marcus's compensation, I established a small foundation. It was specifically to fund female university students from disadvantaged backgrounds who were academically excellent and of good character, especially those from single-parent households. I hoped they wouldn't encounter difficulties like mine. I hoped their kindness and efforts would not be taken for granted. 3 years later, my company successfully went public, and I transformed from a former office clerk into CEO Luna in others' eyes. I met a wonderful man. I met him at a business event. He was gentle, refined, steady, and reliable. He knew about my past, but he never pried, simply showing me through his actions that I deserved to be loved and respected. In our second year together, he proposed to me. There was no grand party, no magnificent house deed. He simply took my hand for a walk in the park one ordinary evening, then knelt down and presented a velvet box. Inside was a simply designed diamond ring. Luna, he looked at me, starlight in his eyes. I'm not good with flowery words. I just want to tell you, all my assets can be put in your name. But more than that, I hope you'll be the sole legal owner of my life. I looked into his sincere eyes, tears flowing with a smile. This time, they were tears of happiness. Our wedding was low-key, with only our closest family and friends invited. At the wedding, a friend casually mentioned Marcus's current situation. I heard that Marcus is doing terribly now. He can't find a job, does odd jobs everywhere, and is buried under a mountain of debt. His mother couldn't handle the stress, suffered a stroke, and is bedridden. He has to take care of all her daily needs. And, I heard she went back to her hometown. Married some random person, and her life is a total mess. Another friend sighed, he truly deserved it. He reaped what he sowed. Ignoring a wonderful woman like CEO Luna, insisting on these crooked paths, how could he have a good outcome? Speaking of which, we really should thank him for not marrying you back then, otherwise, how would CEO Luna have met such a wonderful husband? Everyone burst into laughter. I held my husband's arm, looking at his gentle profile, and couldn't help but smile. Yes, I should thank him. Thank him for using the cruelest method to show me the ugliness of human nature. And thank him for finally giving me the chance to break free from a heavy moral burden and embrace a truly bright and splendid life that belongs to me. As for Marcus, I heard he lived every day thereafter in regret and pain. He had to care for his paralyzed mother while evading creditors. Countless times, after getting drunk late at night, he would call me or send incoherent messages. The content was nothing more than repentance, apologies, and nostalgia for the past. He said his biggest regret was that night, choosing to deceive me for a ridiculous sense of vanity and pride. He said if time could be turned back, he definitely wouldn't have done it. He said he still loved me. I looked at those messages and found them ridiculous. Love? His love was too cheap and too heavy. I no longer cared for it. I blocked all his contact information. From then on, our paths diverged, and we would never meet again. I thought the story of Marcus and me had completely come to an end. Unexpectedly, 2 years later, I heard news of him again. It was through a mutual old friend. That friend mentioned him casually at a dinner, with a complex expression. Luna, did you know? Eleanor passed away. I paused for a moment, but felt no ripple in my heart. Oh? When did that happen? Just last week. A cerebral hemorrhage. They couldn't save her. The friend sighed. Marcus was right there. His mother passed away. I heard he completely zoned out, didn't shed a single tear, just sat there blankly. Afterward, when handling the funeral arrangements, he was also out of sorts, like he'd lost his soul. The day before yesterday, he suddenly came to me, asking to borrow money. He said, he wants to repay all the money to the young women your foundation had sponsored. I frowned. Pay back the money? Where would he get that kind of money? Given his current situation, not only could he not pay back such a huge sum, but even his own survival was in question. My friend shook his head, his expression growing stranger. I don't know either. But he looked incredibly determined, and his eyes, they were a little scary. He said that money should have been his responsibility all along, and he couldn't let you bear it alone. He said it's what he owed you, and the only thing he could ever do for you in this life. He also said, he's going somewhere far away, and might not be reachable after this. My heart gave a jolt, and a sinking feeling rose within me. Did he say where he was going? No. My friend paused, looking at me cautiously. Luna, do you think he might be losing his mind, thinking of doing something reckless? I fell silent. I didn't know. But I knew that with Marcus's extremely twisted pride and obsessive personality, after the crushing blows of his mother's death and being abandoned by everyone, he was capable of anything. After hanging up, I did something completely out of character. I asked my assistant to look into Marcus's current situation. The results came back quickly and left me stunned. A few days ago, Marcus had sold one of his kidneys. He had received a massive sum of 400,000. Then, through various illegal online lending platforms, he had frantically borrowed money, accumulating almost 1 million. He hadn't touched any of the money. Instead, he had set up a trust. The sole beneficiary of the trust was the student loan fund under my name. And after doing all this, he bought a one-way ticket to a remote border town and vanished completely. I stared at the documents my assistant handed me, speechless for a long time. Ethan hugged me from behind, resting his chin gently on my shoulder. Still thinking about him? I nodded. I just don't understand why he had to do this. He ruined me once, and now, is he trying to ruin me a second time with this method? Using money from selling a kidney and predatory loans to pay off his so-called debt. How could I possibly accept this money? This would burden me with a heavy moral burden for the rest of my life. Marcus, even in death, you still try to manipulate me. Ethan squeezed my hand, his voice steady and strong. Don't be afraid, you have me. I'll handle this. You don't need to bear any of it. You just need to remember that from now on, your life will only be filled with sunshine. Ethan's influence was even greater than I had imagined. He quickly found the illegal online lending platforms that had lent money to Marcus. Instead of reporting them to the police, he used decisive, forceful methods to uproot these gray industries operating on the fringes of the law. Naturally, all illegal debts ceased to exist. As for the money from the kidney sale, he contacted the underground clinic, recovered the funds, and ensured they faced appropriate punishment. Only after all this was done did he tell me, the money issue is resolved. As for Marcus, he paused. The police found him in a motel near the border. He was about to smuggle himself out of the country to engage in human organ trafficking. He wanted to sell all his remaining parts for a good price and then transfer the money into that trust. A chill ran down my spine. This man had gone completely mad. He wasn't seeking atonement, he was orchestrating a delayed, insane revenge against me in the most extreme, self-destructive way possible. He wanted to use his death and sacrifice to carve an indelible scar into my heart. He wanted me to live forever in his shadow, forever unable to comfortably enjoy happiness. He was arrested? I asked. Yes. Ethan nodded. Attempted illegal border crossing, plus his existing record as a notorious defaulter, resulted in concurrent sentencing for multiple charges, and he was sentenced to 3 years. 3 years. Perhaps in prison, he could truly calm down and reflect on his absurd and pathetic life. From then on, I never heard anything about Marcus again. He was like a stone dropped into the ocean, he sank without a ripple, silently disappearing. Ethan and I continued to live our peaceful and happy lives. Our company grew larger and larger, and the student loan fund helped more and more girls. Every year, I received many thank you letters from them. In their letters, they shared their academic progress, their dreams, and their aspirations for the future. Reading those vibrant words, I always felt genuine joy and satisfaction. This, perhaps, was the true outcome I had hoped for when I initially put up that money. Not a cold, impersonal house deed with someone else's name on it. One year, the foundation hosted a small in-person exchange meeting. A girl I had supported for 4 years was about to graduate from college. She traveled from out of town specifically to thank me in person. She was a delicate and shy girl. CEO Luna, truly thank you so much. Her face flushed, she was so emotional she struggled to form words. Without you, I might not have even made it into college. You changed my life. I smiled and patted her shoulder. Don't thank me, this is the result of your own hard work. Life's journey is still long, keep striving. The girl nodded vigorously, her eyes sparkling. CEO Luna, I want to be like you someday, an independent, strong woman who can help others. Watching her, it was as if I saw myself many years ago, bussing tables at a late-night diner, tutoring on weekends, and striven with all my might for a vague, uncertain future. Only, this girl before me was far luckier than I had been back then. She wouldn't have her worth defined by a man. She wouldn't place her future on someone else's promises. Ahead of her lay her own vast ocean of stars. I looked up, gazing out the window. The sun was bright, and the breeze was gentle. All that had passed was merely a prologue. And my life was just beginning. At my wedding to Ethan, the diamond ring he placed on my finger stirred my heart more than any gift Marcus had ever given me. It might not be one of a kind globally, but the promise it represented was a unique and genuine devotion. In my life, there was no longer Marcus, nor Chloe. Only my loving husband, a successful career, and a group of girls who found new beginnings because of me. I finally understood. Only by leaving a swamp behind can you embrace the whole sky. And I had already soared towards my own vast sky. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.